and we're getting into our first game of the day here, Verdant versus Ruddy.
Yep.
Remember, this is a very, very important game for Verdant. Ruddy right now, they are locked into playoffs. I believe there's some wiggle room for them. Yes, technically, they could still make it into the upper bracket. So they still want to win this game to make sure that they within as best chances as possible of taking that that top spot and basically avoiding having a chance to avoid the lower bracket.
Yeah. So just lining up some expectations for this game as well to build off of what you said. I definitely think this is going to be a bit of a snoozer in the early game. You do have some nice setup with Lee Sin. That's typically what you pair him with, right? Talia setup plus Lee Sin is okay. But are you really going to be bursting out a Gragas with W? I don't think so, right? So I think that kind of stonewalls that play. And in the end, we're probably only going to get like fights around Herald. If something does happen in the bot lane in the 2v2, it's probably just going to be down to individual skill because I don't think there's huge amounts of setup in either side lane for either team to play off either. So if anything's going to happen, it's going to be mid lane 2v2 into bot, I think.
I love it. I love it when mid jungle duos are like, it's the pinnacle for me. I love seeing a good mid jungle duo because those two combined as a role, they can just have so much impact on like the state of the game and the state of the map. So I'm very excited to see what these guys are going to do, and the skirmishing there is going to be brutal. So it'll be really, really fun fights to watch as well. If you haven't seen Annie since the changes, that was last patch, I believe. So you've been under a rock, but Annie now starts with her passive fully charged. The main thing is though, how much work Tibbers does now. He is infinitely more tanky. I believe he has more damage as well, because he gets 75% of her AP on top of the health he gets, his base health, which he never used to have. So Tibbers is really tanky, and with Aerie, you just proc it infinitely. So team fights are going to be scary when Clyde comes in, because even if he misses Tibbers and like misses that big AoE stun, Tibbers is still going to be eating a lot of damage for and skill shots that get thrown out, and just burning for so much health. It's really, really oppressive.
Yeah, and something else Clyde can use this Annie for is potentially to roam as well. We saw him last week roaming around with this Annie, covering Gnar and Nilly on this Gnar in the top side last week as well. Granted, he was in a much more dangerous role. He had to survive Camille plus setup as a Gnar, but now we could still see Clyde run around, maybe looking mid lane, maybe looking top lane on some slow pushes, potentially to find something. I don't think he'll be that great because, again, we just have Stonewall picks all the way across the board, meaning there's probably going to be a classic Verdant game of, we do nothing and then win in the end, or, Ruddy takes it in the end, but I definitely think it's going to be slow.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. For now, there doesn't seem to really be a priority on who has push in this bot lane. Verdant are losing these trades, and ouch, there you go. That's the old sniper coming in from Denvoxney, doing a nice chunk of damage there to Cly. But Nash is starting to run a little bit low on the old mana department. Now, Cly does have that stun charged up, which, basically can define quite a lot within these trades that will be breaking out. Meanwhile, Nita, kind of expected, is going to have quite a lot of power here in this bot lane, in this mid lane. There we go, I can speak. Azera obviously on a melee kind of bruisery champion. I know you do go full AP here, but going to be getting outraged pretty heavily here. No Name was looking to see if he could do something bot lane, but he was spotted out by Clyde there, so I think we are just going to see them back off for now. And as you predicted, being a little bit more of a slower one, as Kevo could get locked down by the Gravitum. There it is. The Q comes in. He flashes out, jumps the wall. They can look for the stun from Cly if they need to. As another Q comes in onto Cly, he's not going to get locked down by the Gravitum. And that is going to be the flash burn from Kevo.
Yeah, and you could just see the lack of setup, right? Your best setup is Gravitum Gun from Denvoxney, which is great, but then there's not even any follow-up from Nash because he's on Lulu, right? So what might have been a kill with another support, it doesn't actually turn out into anything. And the main reason this is, I think, is a decent problem for Ruddy early game at least, is No Name doesn't really have anything to do, right? Lee Sin wants setup to be able to make plays, but I think this Gragas really answers the 2v2 really well. And then what No Name's going to have to do is try and team fight, land some crazy flanks and hooks. Kicks. Versus a Gragas and all this peel and CC. I think No Name has his work cut out for him, really, especially come these skirmishes.
No, I agree. I think he really does. Got ourselves onto that 5-minute mark. And Clyde did just rotate through mid lane there, taking out a ward, but not really going to find an opportunity to make anything of it. Taxa is in the area as well, and have Verdant set up a sneaky gank here. Nita I said was about to push the wave out, but actually, Errol just going to one-shot the back minions, so that opportunity has long since gone. So they're looking to charge up the Q here. And I think it was a little bit too early leaving the bush. Nita definitely smelt something was up. I think Clyde had been missing for just too long, so he assumed he was still in mid.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, if I was Verdant there, I wouldn't be sure if Nita could see me or not and know if I was there, because Nita was just, he had me clenched, right? He kept, like, hanging on the edge of aggro for the side of Verdant. You really didn't know if they were there or not, so really well played by Nita, managing to waste a lot of time, and in the end, they're going to get Dragon off of it.
Yeah, looks like No Name going to be uncontested on this one, although Taxa is in the area, but he's smiteless. I mean, so's No Name, actually, so... There is a world. Oh, both are going to have their smite at exactly the same moment. But I do believe Taxa either doesn't feel comfortable or isn't aware that it is going on. So instead, they just clear out his red side and is going to move into this bot side. Large wave crashing in. I think he's here more for security than a gank potential. I think he just wants to make sure that Kevo does get this wave shoved in. The dragon has been picked up, and I think they're aware that this is going on. He's going to jump out. They get the lockdown. The cleanse comes out. Then Voxney's low. All it would have taken was a couple more shots. The kick comes in from No Name. Clyde puts the shield on himself and tries to jump away to safety. He's able to do so. And now, looking like Verdant are just going to have to disengage from this play. Then Voxney playing with fire. No summoner spells up at all now.
And you could just see, right? Clyde was posturing the entire time with stun for a solid 30 seconds, permanently sitting there just in case they walked up and they end up doing it, right? The problem is your only setup is an anti-stun. Second that runs out, you have no follow-up anymore. And once again, the disengage is too good for anything meaningful outside of a flash. You can imagine as well, the flash is just going to be up for the next dragon, and in the end, this gank probably won't, nothing will come of it, right? I'm really surprised No Name didn't keep going. Clyde didn't have flash for that entire fight, and if I was him, I definitely would have had some Lee syndrome and just kept going, and probably died. So No Name's a lot better than me at Lee Sin, so it's probably why.
This is why you're a top laner. All
True.
you know is walk forwards. Walk forwards and hit them. Looks like Kevo is just going to hang around in this for now. Wants to try and get the zap onto the cannon so he doesn't lose too much there. Has got his support coming back in. Clyde, obviously, having to get forced out. Going to be still only level 4, while Nash is level 5. And level 6 on both of these supports are actually very impactful within the fights in the skirmishing, which we do expect to see maybe starting up relatively soon, to be honest. Having that wild growth and having that Tibbers are really going to be able to change the state of a fight. And with Rift Herald spawning up, it does feel like right now, No Name, his objective game is very much there. He is really looking to play for the team and setting them up on that objective front. As Errol going to get himself knocked into the stun. Really nice angle there by Nita, actually.
Yeah, and this is our first timer, our first significant timer, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. Both supports coming towards Herald. I imagine we might see a brawl. You can probably guess that someone will get picked or someone will get chunked enough to the point where one team concedes the Herald. However, you do see Kevo running through mid lane, and this is because Zeri actually rushes boots first. She can actually, this is like a lesser known thing, she can actually rotate to Herald faster than other AD carries, because not many other AD carries rush tier 2 boots. So what Kevo can do now, after securing this Herald by being here, is he can just run down bot side and catch the wave as long as he has some cover.
Yeah, he is having to go the long way, though, because Ruddy have rotated their entire team into that bot side jungle, bar their top laner. So Den Voxney with the red-white combo is going to be able to quickly take down maybe 3 plates here, to be honest. He's got a fairly large wave and a cannon tanking it. He lost the stack on his Q, on his red and white guns there, but he still gets himself 3 plates. So ultimately, this Herald play now has to go down in the bot lane to inject Kevo with some gold, and it has to be worth it.
Who needs Herald, then Voxney says, right? It's been so long since I've seen an Aphelios actually just sit there and hit a tower, because Aphelios has been out of meta for a while, that I forget he's a Rift Herald in and of himself, right? And you could just see 3.5 plates. It's almost like that Rift Herald rotation wasn't worth it.
No, it totally wasn't. I mean, obviously, it depends on the cost and what they gain here. Taxa is now level 6. Remember, then Voxney hasn't got his flash. His cleanse is coming up relatively soon. And they may just try and force a play in this bot side. Pings have gone down. I think Ruddy saw Taxa on the minions. They would have now. So looks like the play is just going to be shoving this bot side and maybe turn your attention towards this Herald. So Kevo is just absorbing as much gold as possible. He knows he's behind. Pretty significant, actually, when you look at Den Voxney versus him. Another little shove there from Errol onto Nita. The pings are coming in. It looks like they're bringing multiple people down to this bot side. Herald doesn't get used bot side, actually. Looks like Taxa instead wants to hold on to it and maybe look for an opportunity to maybe use it in a different lane.
And I just want to remind everyone that this is expected. This is Verdant. They are synonymous with slow, okay? In terms of statistics, they are the 6th lowest team they are 6th place, rather, in how many plates they take on average. On average, taking only 3 plates per game, right? So really, really not a proactive team early. They like to sit on their laurels, just sit back and scale. And this is, honestly, once again, I hate to say the word synonymous again, but it really is with Kevo, right? Kevo, every team Kevo is on, every team that Tom Kick is on, they like to scale. They draft 3 scaling lanes, maybe some, Stonewall picks topside, and they just sit down and they say, you know what, we're going to win team fights.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting as well, because I think there's a similar thing about Denvoxy. Denvoxy is a player who, wants to kind of hit those 2 to 3 item marks before he really gets in on the game. I think, obviously, his laning phase is can be a little bit more aggressive depending on, the fact that, first of all, he's with Nash, so he's with a very capable support, which, really alleviates him and buys him that space to be a little bit more aggressive. But also, that rotation obviously just bought him a whole bunch of gold. Remember, plates worth 175 gold a plate as well. So, Denvoxy was gifted quite a lot of gold. He's got that Bloodthirster. Look at the shield on this guy. How much is that? Is that a 350 shield?
That's without Severum too, because Severum also gives a shield. I cannot wait for your reaction. As soon as he gets that shield and it's just stacked, it's going to be so funny. But second dragon going over to Ruddy in this early game. Verdant really don't mind giving up these tools, giving up these dragons, saying we're going to contest on Soul Point, right? That's the significant trick.
Hey, observers, could I quickly see the gold lead? Just to see how significant. Yeah, there it is. 1,000 gold lead in the bot side already at 12 minutes.
Brutal.
That is a really brutal lead.
I think especially it's going to be another plate.
Oh, maybe. They're actually going to herald here. Nilly has demolished, so Pop and Pow should be able to equalize out the 3 plates, at least gaining himself a plate lead over Rifty, as Rifty doesn't end up losing that trade. But Denvoxy gets the first. Okay, gold lead's even bigger. That's 625 gold to Denvoxy. He just got, what is that? 2 kills plus Triumph. Yeah, that's 2 kills plus Triumph. How much gold does Triumph give?
So no Triumph. Overheal.
No, but I'm saying the equivalent of 2 kills plus Triumph.
Of course.
I can't remember how much gold you get for Triumph. Is it 50 gold?
No, I think it's less than that, right? I think I'm only 25.
Okay, so it's just
my
under
memory
that.
isn't great.
He just got 2 kills worth of gold just from a tower. That's
nuts.
That's a very... his base was a BF sword and a crit cloak.
I am telling you, Aphelios is not balanced, okay? The things you see, there's an 80 carry in the LPL called Leave. He was a replacement to Viper, and he is just flashing forward into 10 people and 1v9ing every single time with Aphelios Lulu. This duo is not balanced. You don't get Aphelios Lulu, you can just pick another enchanter like Renata or something like this too. It also works really well, but combined, Sion plus Aphelios plus Lulu and a mage in mid lane, I think you're golden. I really do think once you ban a load of 80, oppressive 80 carries, the game whooping ones like Ashe support and Caitlyn bot lane, you can really pick this bot lane and just win for free. Look at that shield.
That's not okay.
It's so grim.
That is. I tried to. Is that 400 or 500 gold?
And the shield scales, right? It's the Bloodthirster max shield scales level. I believe it's 180 to 450 max. So this isn't anywhere near how big it will be. It is only going to get worse for the side of Verdant when they see him walking up to them. I mean, you don't even want to trade. You just want to run away.
I mean, how do you? How do you trade into this? This is brutal. Yeah, that's a rough one. That's a hard one to deal with, unfortunately. Level 9, at least for Kevo, he's holding out in levels to his counterpart, but he is significantly behind in the old gold department. And with Rifttown spawning up, you can already see Ruddy, they're just accelerating the pace of this game. They've shifted all of their team towards his top side, and Kevo is about to get hit by a Graviton, and that is probably going to be him donezo, as No Name should just be able to just slide in, execute it, and first blood to Ruddy. 14 minutes in, Nita has to use the stopwatch, as Taxa is going to be looking for him. May come in for the Tibbers. They've got the follow-up. They've got the kill. Nita is going to go down as Cly gets the shutdown on the Annie. That might just be enough to stop this Rift Herald from happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like what you just pointed out there. It's really crucial that they deny this Herald because that could snowball into even more for this Ophelia. So that pick from Cly there and from Taxa burns the stopwatch, which means also at the next team fight, Naito isn't going to have Stasis. You know, Stasis is really broken versus Vi, but it got consumed. So now Verdant managed to turn around the game and maybe, just maybe, they can catch Kevo back up to Denvox now.
It's going to be a tool loss. It's going to be a very, very tool loss to see if they can catch him up to that. But here's hoping. We'll have to see. For now, Kevo is going to be Oh! He's just absolutely... He's doing so much damage. He hasn't even got his IE yet.
Interestingly, this isn't the only build you can go for. There's some Aphelioses in the Chinese league, LPL, who are going just Gale Force Infinity Edge and just going raw damage, but I'm personally a big fan of this. Just seeing that shield, right? I think, you know what I think it is? I think it's the intimidation factor, right? The enemy team seeing it, and they just think there's no hope.
Okay, so Rifty right now has 2.7k health. I think Denvoxy's about 1,300, 1,400. Then you add the shield, you factor the shield in. So
It's almost 2K.
He's almost 1.5. So that shield is what? Right now it's 1, 2, 3. It's about 450.
Yeah.
He's getting to probably
without
when he gets like the Bloodthirster fully stacked Nash shields, he's probably looking at like 2,200, 2,300 health, I reckon. Like just on very, very like quick maths. So he's like 400 health behind what the Scion is going to be rocking at the moment. That's intimidation factor. Yeah, you might be right. As Cly is going to have to use Tibbers, but it's on to Nash and Denvoxy with the red and white. It's time to say goodnight. Down he goes.
And what can Verdant do? They're trying to cross-map, but people are getting picked. Cly is just getting picked, and this is something I highlighted in the pre-game. Cly just walking into River and getting picked. This happened all of last week, and it's one of those desyncs I talked about in games before they would try to make plays, but everyone was elsewhere, like in base or something. And Cly would be trying to get vision when he doesn't need to, right? And it's just happening again. Last time it was on Nautilus, so at least he was tanky, but now, as an Annie, if you get caught, you're just dead. And now Verdant cannot cross-map, right? They get top lane tier 1, but they've given up third dragon. You're almost giving up Chemtech Soul versus a Lulu. And that empowers shields. We're going to see him an even bigger Felios shield.
Oh, didn't think about that. That's horrible.
I love it so much.
Look at that health bar. That's an AD carry. He hasn't even based yet, by the way. Since we previously talked about items, I believe.
Probably Infinity Edge next.
He might have got boots too. I can't remember. But either way, he's looking scary. He's going to go to base now. This should just be the IE. And honestly, for Verdant, they might just be looking at tomorrow's game now. I think if you're Veneer right now, you're probably very happy to see the state of this game. Obviously, Veneer do have to play Nord in the next game, though, so they can't get too ahead of themselves.
Oh, that's brutal, isn't it? That strength of schedule is a little bit brutal. But no, Rifty might actually get collapsed on. I think he can ult out if he smells it early enough. But does look like he might get dived. It's a Scion, though. And he does have Jackshow, the raw, tankiest mythic you can get. If he holds this wave, potentially wave clears it. But I do think he can maybe ult out here. He's not trying.
Oh, he dodged the Tibbers. He's actually looking to get out. He's got the ult.
He's 1v5.
No, he actually ulted into the wall. Taxa's chasing after him. He's holding them 1 versus 5. Nilly has to flash for the slow. Taxa finds the knock-up. And Rifty with the shield, just about holding on. There we go. Taxa takes him down. But they burnt so much for that.
That was, case in point, the most fun part about being a tank top lane. Just tanking 5 people, and you just know Rifty has a grin on his face, because his whole team managed to cross-map off of that play, him buying 30 seconds of time on that dive. Look, they've taken top tier 1, pushed down to top tier 2, and are taking all the camps. It's just not even worth to kill Rifty at this point.
No, especially when you think Taxa, Nilly, and Cly invested flash. That was 3 flashes, 2 ultimates. I don't know if Errol ulted. His is on cooldown, so I'm going to assume it was as well. That's a lot invested for a Scion. And he's gone back to base. He's got a Barmies. He's got Ninja Tabai. He's got himself the not crit cloak, sorry, the armor, the cloth armor as well. Like, he's just stacking more and more armor. He is not threatened by the Rod of Ages Gragas at the moment.
And I was speaking to a coach on the LEC actually, and they were talking about top lane builds in the Nar vs Sion matchup specifically, and they were definitely a bigger fan of the Black Cleaver rush into the Sion to help with that shred. I am sure Tax's Black Cleaver did so much work in killing that Sion there, but even then it was so slow. Because essentially, when you have a Trinity Force versus Sion, you're kind of just... Oh! Is that a half hit?
Oh my word, the Infernum hits, but it doesn't quite finish off the job. Kevo chunked heavily. Is going to be able to heal back up with his Immortal Shield Bow and clear out the wave. But again, this is just allowing Ruddy to go in for the invade. They cleared out bots top side earlier. Now they're just clearing out the bot side of the jungle. I don't believe they were spotted by that Scryers either. So just more and more being lost here. This is very, very hard for Verdant. They are down a significant amount of gold.
I think Errol flashed. He must have...
Do you think?
Yeah. I think I saw him flash at the bottom of the screen. I think he might have nearly gotten Niter flipped with that Talia W. And now you just lose another tool. Talia, Gragas flash E is just too powerful. There's an engage coming down mid now.
They're going for it. They're going to jump onto Denvoxy. They get the Gnar back into everybody. Denvoxy flashes away. Can he get away? No, he can't. The shutdown's there for Errol. Verdant have found themselves an opening and an opportunity. Rifty slides into the fight a little bit too late. He's losing a lot of HP. The shove back underneath the tower into the knockup. Taxa goes down, and he's got the Timbers coming in forwards as well, and they trade out 2 for 1. Verdant, my hat goes off to you. That was a really, really well executed fight, considering how significantly they were behind.
And finding that play onto the Aphelios, this is exactly what I wanted to see. Utilizing that hard engage the second Rifty is in that side lane. You saw Rifty had to TP in there very slow and very late. And they managed to find it. Look at this. They managed to get onto him. And the second he's not auto-attacking, the second he's CC'd, which is a really big reason why you pick this Vi into the Aphelios. No matter how many shields, right? A Vi is immune to CC in that ultimate. So she can't get displaced by the Lulu ultimate. Either you just burst the Aphelios and he cannot sustain through it.
That's honestly really, really good stuff. Like,
yeah.
You can see, you talked at the beginning of the game about how, Verdant are a slow team and they rely heavily on their team fighting. They did show us they are a team with insane team fighting strength. The problem is that they're going to go for it again, actually. Denvoxy this time getting jumped away. Nobody's quite in the right position to go for it. Everything used to keep him alive as Nearly gets himself knocked up. He does get the Gnar, but No Name finishes him up. And this time, Verdant maybe getting a little bit too overeager, a little bit too greedy. And ultimately, that's going to be Soul over to Ruddy.
And they're just trying to find these surprise engages, which is actually what I think they need. But it's just not enough, right? You can see Denvoxy living on, honestly, full HP. They managed to burst the shield because there's no follow-up from Taxa's ultimate, and they just do not do enough damage to burst him through the Severum and the White Gun. It's just too much single-target damage as well, and Taxa falls, which secures them that Chemtech Soul, and now the Baron, and you just got to wonder, is this game?
Let's see if they can actually get any level of defense. Cly, does he have flash? Yes, he does. He's going to blast cone in. He throws Tibbers down a little bit too early. And that is the end of their AD carry. Clyde didn't flash into the pit. He missed Tibbers. And Verdant will pay the ultimate price. Nobody will get away from this one as Clyde goes down. Errol is quick to follow. Ruddy with Baron. And 3 members down.
And they try to contest, but it's just not enough. Verdant, what do you do from here? You've got a death push, right? I think that's the only thing you can do. You just got to hope and pray. Maybe you go into the side lane here, hope Rifty overextends and you burst him, but even then he's a Scion. Maybe Niter goes into side lane. You punish that 4-1 that they're inevitably going to do with this Baron buff, but it's not looking great.
Not at all, unfortunately. And it looks like they're actually investing quite a lot of members towards this bot side of the map. So you got that Baron. They decided not to go for the tier 2 in the mid lane. They want to go for these side lane ones here. But with Soul, it is going to be very, very hard right now for Verdant to find themselves an opportunity. And that Baron on as well. Maybe there's a miracle in there. Denvoxy still flashless, key, which is a point to kind of keep your mind on. But Denvoxy now got that Kraken Slayer 3 items over Kevo, who's only got the IE and the Immortal Shield Bow. So significantly behind as tier 2 tower falls in the mid lane. And it feels like Verdant, outside of like a desperation engage, this is probably going to be it. The cast comes down, then Voxney is going to be able to find the kill. He gets the cleanse off, he gets the Lulu ult, he gets the follow-up, the kick has connected, and in comes No Name. The Weaver's Wall does break off a couple of people from any more kills. Nita kind of inting some of his teammates there, but they will be able to crack open that tier 2. They've got a wave following them up. They've still got this Baron buff, and it looks like here we are for Ruddy. They are in to Verdant's base, and Verdant will have to wait for tomorrow to see if they can make it into the playoffs. A crushing defeat for them after a just seriously good mid-game fight. But Ruddy, they were just too far ahead. Then Voxney, he just got the kill combo. And oh my word, Kevo's health bar is gone.
And I think this just lends, testament to the fact that Ruddy, they're our structured team. I do believe Ruddy are like the cleanest and have definitive clear plans more so than any other team in the league. Definitely, actually. You can always see that whenever they draft a win condition, they definitely do play for it. It's almost always the case. They never do anything off script. They are like, what's the term? A to B team. Just definitely ABCs, they're fundamentals, pure fundamentals. And they're showing it, right? Have they given any windows for Verdant to punish outside of an early kill onto Nita? I don't think so.
Not that I can think of, no. They've just been, a very solid team all split long. Yeah, there's been hiccups, but I think they've learned from those hiccups. And also, a lot of their mistakes have been versus teams who are really solid. As Cly...
The long con flank, maybe?
This might be the longest connest of flanks there has ever been. Also, keep in mind, Nilly has only just started to build up that Narbar. So if he comes in with the TP flank, I don't know what world this can work in, but Cly is still waiting. They're bringing the teleport in. He's coming down. Then Voxy with about 8k health is going to walk into this Annie. There's the Tibbers. They barely scratch the surface. His shield doesn't go. They throw everything down. The wall's been there. Then Voxy finally loses his shield, and he's shut down by Kevo. Nilly's coming in. He's going to look for the wallop. He gets himself polymorphed, and he misses the Gnar. They're now chasing onto Rifty. Nash has been slowed. In comes No Name to maybe save the day for the rest of the team. They jump onto Rifty a little bit more. That Cleaver, they got a lot of work to work with. Knockup will land onto Nilly. Rifty still clinging to life. They used everything to kill them Voxy, and it feels like Verdant have run out of fuel in this tank. But Ruddy, they're not done yet. A beautiful seismic shove there from Nita to secure a return kill onto Taxa. And with everything thrown, with literally every tool in the toolbox used, Ruddy still come out on top. They only got them Voxy for Verdant. That is absolutely devastating for Verdant there.
And Rifty is just unkillable in that fight. You could see, even though Den Voxney falls, even though they find the dream fight, and before this fight happened, I wanted to highlight the only way Den Voxney dies now is a beautiful cask, which puts him into 5 people. I think that's the only way, and that was absolutely the case. But after that, it doesn't matter. Everyone's just too snowballed, and even without Den Voxney's huge Aphelios, Rifty just can't die, so they just can't kill anyone, right? And eventually Nita's damage, eventually No Name's damage all comes through, and Verdant just have to run. They just have to scatter and die.
Yeah, it's really hard, because, I mean, Kevo right now, he needs to get that armor penetration if he wants any hope to deal with it, but he's actually going for that Hurricane third. Pretty standard of a Zeri, but Rifty is too tanky, man. And then Voxney is getting launched onto. They throw everything down. He's still full health. Stopwatch is there. 3-man knockup from Rifty. And Rifty is going to be able to save the day of Den Voxney. A knockup comes in. No Name slides forward. And he gets himself an unstoppable kill onto Kevo. Nilly trying to desperately get away. Does Gnar out in the nick of time. But Errol, he's on the wrong side of the map. No way for him to get back at the moment. Is going to get the reset off, but with no Kevo, with no Cly, I think this might be all she wrote here for the side of Verdant. Nearly able to launch himself out for now, but they've got to somehow clear through this wave. I don't think they're going to be able to do so. Stopwatch comes out. Knockup will follow. Nearly's able to flash away, but No Name will slide in to make sure that he is going to go down. Nearly somehow able to get away with it, but the Nexus has been left bare. A beautiful seismic shove coming in once again. And here we go. 29 minutes on the clock. Verdant, unfortunately, collapsing at the seams. Nearly with a beautiful seismic shove just to pad the score. But Nita will make sure the Nexus pops. And Ruddy